Hello everybody and welcome back to the Brickazoids Den. You know what time it is if you looked at the title of this video. We are moving right along to Season 6 of Adventure Time, my listing. Now, just like Season 5, there was like 52 episodes in Season 5. That's a lot. Season 6 has 15. Now, Season 6 has 43. So I decided to do my top 15 of Season 6, just like I did my top 20 for Season 5, because there's a lot of episodes, so I want to make sure that I get to like some good ones. I don't just want to have 10 and then have 33 be unranked. I'd rather do like a pretty good amount of them, I'd say. I think 15 is a pretty good amount of that season, so I decided to do 15 of these ranked. But hopefully we'll go back to just doing like the 5s and the 10s and things like that at some point. But for now, we're sticking with the higher numbers. Number 15, we got Princess Day. This is the Marceline and Lumpy Space Princess episode in the Breakfast Kingdom. I thought this was really fun. We got to go around the Breakfast Kingdom, see what it's all, like the Breakfast Castle is looking like. And we also got some great moments between Lumpy Space Princess and also Marceline. Kind of just hanging out and not wanting to be, a princess. Not wanting to be just a regular old princess who just sits at a desk and listens to a meeting about stuff that they don't really care about. So they went around and they caused a little mischief, a little mayhem around the Breakfast Kingdom castle, and it ended up getting pretty messed up. But it was a really fun episode because they ended up I think, did they knock out? Oh no, they drove Breakfast Princess to the middle of the desert and made her walk home or something like that. I don't know, but it was overall a really fun episode. So we'll move on to 14 now. Not episode 14, number 14. Now we have Joshua and Margaret Investigations. If I'm not mistaken, this is the first Joshua and Margaret full length episode, right? Or is this? Yeah. This is it. The full length Joshua and Margaret episode. And it was really, really good. It was great to see Joshua and Margaret in their own episode, like I kept saying, and just to see their relationship before. I think it was before Jake and Finn were around, and Jermaine as well. It was very fun to see, and things that they would do. Their business was really fun to see, and they also used the ticker type in this episode, which was a pretty big part to the what is that? Adventure Time Finn and Jake Investigations video game, which I thought was fun. I don't know. Those Adventure Time games are pretty, I guess, I wouldn't say poorly made, but they're not as good as some of the other ones, but I enjoyed them. They're a lot of fun. They're just fun. Just like this episode. It was pretty fun. It was a pretty good little mystery, and I had a good time watching it. But we'll move on to 13 now. Alright, number 13. I wish that I could put this one higher, but there were a lot of good episodes this season. We have Little Brother. So good. That song that Shelby and Kent sang, super good. And this was a Shelby episode, kind of. Well, kind of. Basically what happened was Shelby was at a party, and the butt end of her warm body was cut off, and it became a little guy named Kent. And he's a little adventurer man that lives in the walls of Finn and Jake's treehouse, and he does adventures. He took on the Rat King and killed him, I think. Yeah, he killed him. And he just likes to adventure around with his sword, and it was a really good episode. And then he got that amazing song at the end. Where are you, little brother? Oh, so good. I love that. I love that song so much. It was so fun to watch and everything. And it was a pretty simple episode, but I think what puts it up here for me was definitely that song. That song, so good, so good. I keep saying that, but yeah, number 13 is Little Brother. We'll move on to 12. Okay, number 12 here, we got Jermaine. And just like I was talking about with Joshua and Margaret Investigations, this is another Jake-related episode with Jake's brother Jermaine. And Jermaine is taking care of Joshua and Margaret's old house and has all this demon protection stuff all around it. And when Finn and Jake decide to visit, they just cause absolute mayhem. It's really sad though, because Jermaine is just trying to keep everything intact, all of Joshua and Margaret's stuff intact, because he wants to remember them. And Finn and Jake just come in and just start destroying the place and all this, and they let in the demons and everything. And it was very sad, but it was great to see Jermaine again, because I think we only really saw him in that, in Jake's, not flashback, him remembering, about when he knocked him out, when he knocked out Jermaine when he was a kid or something in like season 2 or something like that. So to see Jermaine like completely in this episode was really, really good to see. And it was a pretty good episode, and it was basically like it was a Jake family episode and all that, but it was very fun. There was also Chaz Baz, which was pretty cool. I liked him. I hope he returns. They should make a spin-off show about Chaz Baz. That'd be pretty crazy. No, I'm just kidding. But we'll move on to number 11. Number 11 on the list here, we have Is That You? This episode is about Prismo. This is a Prismo episode. It's, it was, I think it was like the 19th episode. I don't remember this one a lot, but this one was a Prismo episode because originally, I believe was it episode 1? I'm trying to think here about all the Prismo stuff that happened this season, because there was a lot, honestly. There was actually kind of a lot. But, because there was a lot of, like, Lich stuff with Prismo. And, this was kind of like a follow-up to, I think, another episode. I believe the episode Wake Up. And this was basically Finn's trying to, I think he, like, went back in, like, a time loop. And he's trying to save the other Finn from waking up Jake or something like that. I don't know. I don't remember it all completely very well. But I just remember this episode being pretty good overall. And it's great to see Prismo again. He is definitely a fan favorite character and is also one of my favorite Adventure Time characters as well. I want to try his pickles so bad. That would be incredible. If Prismo was around, I would love to try his pickles because it seems like Jake really liked him. So, yeah, I'm going to say number 11 is That You? And we'll move on to number 10. Number 10 on the list is Jake the Brick. I mean, this episode, when I first even heard of it when it was coming out, I'm like, what? What the heck is that going to be? Is it literally just going to be one single shot of Jake as a brick, just kind of standing, just there in a house? But no, they made it a full 11-minute episode of Adventure Time, and it's pretty interesting, It was definitely, surprisingly, it was one of my favorites of the season. It was number 10 out of the top 10 here, and it was really good. It was really, really good. I mean, basically, Jake was just like one of the final bricks of like a crumbling house or something, and he wanted to see how it feels like for a house to kind of crumble and fall, and him being one of the bricks, I think is what it was, but it wasn't really falling, and he basically just kind of watched these two animals, and like he developed this whole story with these animals, and Finn left I think a walkie-talkie there, so they were able to broadcast it on Starchy the Gravediggers podcast. And everybody anew, or everybody in the Candy Kingdom, I think maybe everybody anew as well, were actually able to hear what Jake was saying in his narration of this whole this scene about this deer trying to, like, build a house and these rabbits. I don't even remember what happened, but it was nuts. I was really invested in the story by the end of it. I'm like, oh, what's going to happen here? But, this episode was just actually really good. I mean, that might be a surprise to some people, but it was really good. It was really good. And we'll move on to episode 9. Number 9 on the list here. We're moving right along. We got Astral Plane. Yeah, this one was pretty good as well. I mean, it was basically Finn kind of had like his own spirit body come out of him while he was sleeping, I think. And this spirit body kind of explored the land of Ooo at night, and it went up, started floating to the sky, saw Marceline play a song in the sky and things like that. But overall, it was just a really enjoyable episode, honestly. It felt like a very, like, this is like a calm episode, this is a very, chill out, that type of thing, and just kind of watching Finn float around to different scenarios with Ooo at night, and it was super duper nice, and there's not even too much to say about it. It was just a really good episode overall, but we'll move on to episode 8, our final 8 here. Okay, number 8 on the list here, we have Evergreen, some Ice King Crown backstory episode here, and it was very interesting, honestly. We got to see Gunther, who is like this little green dinosaur kind of guy from years and years before, the Land of Ooo even existed, I think. And then we also got to see Urgence Evergreen, who is basically the creator of this ice crown, and a lot of the other elementals as well. Chatsberry, Slimy D. What was the fire guy? Oh no, what was the fire one? He had like a crab arm and one eye and like red hair. Oh no. It was Slimy D, who was the slime elemental, Urgence Evergreen, Chatsberry, Oh, I don't remember. But there was that guy. He exists. He exists in this universe. But yeah, this is a very very good episode. Super duper insightful and like exposition on the crown and how it was created and how Gunther took the crown and then wanted to become Urgent. So it was very very interesting. And it was like pre Land of Ooze stuff. So yeah, there was a lot that happened in this episode. And like I said, it was extremely interesting and a very fun watch. But we'll move on to number 7. For number 7, we have Hot Diggity Doom, which is one of the final episodes of the season here, kind of wrapping up the season 6 with the Orgalorg storyline here. And it's basically like Prince Bubblegum isn't going to win the election or something like along those lines. Like it's election day, and there's like this the comet is coming in the sky. People are starting to see it. And even though she is basically, she lost the election to the King of Boo, she, hopes the Candy people will actually see that she's a good leader, not the King of Boo, so that she can be back in the Candy Kingdom and hopefully help with this issue, this meteor-looking thing coming in the sky. But, yeah, no, this was a pretty good episode. It was definitely a pretty good, what is it? What are those things called? Oh no. I'm gonna forget what it's called. A very good penultimate episode before the final episode, which was the comet, I believe. Yeah, the comet. But yeah, this was a pretty good one. It was just a fun little one that kind of went around the Land of Boo and stuff and prepared you for what the final episode would actually end up being. For number 6, we have Wake Up, which is the season premiere for season 6. And it's basically Finn is looking for his dad, and a bunch of stuff happens with Prismo, and the Lich basically kills Prismo, which is pretty messed up. I mean, because basically what we know is that Prismo is like the dream manifestation kind of a sleeping old man, and if he wakes up, Prismo will basically die, which is kind of messed up. So this is Wake Up, and it's basically Finn and Jake trying to, I believe it's to keep the man sleeping from the Lich, but then eventually the Lich gets to him and wakes him up. And then Finn and Jake have to try and fix it, but I don't think it actually works. I think Is That You is when they actually were able to fix it. But yeah, that was number 6 on the list here. For number 5 on the list, we have The Comet, which was like the final episode of the season after Hot Diggity Doom. And we're basically in the sky, where Finn and Jake are in space. Or not in the sky, in space. And they didn't really fight the Orgalorg, honestly. They were kind of talking about the comet, and they were talking to the Orgalorg, but eventually, Martin Mertens, who is Finn's dad, comes in on his flying moth that he got from some alien planet. I forget that episode. No, actually, I don't remember the episode's title. I thought I did for a second, but I don't. But basically, Martin Mertens comes back in, Finn's dad, and saves them from, I think Finn was probably going to die in space, but he basically saves him from just kind of floating around in space, and then the Orgalorg dies, and then the comet goes away, and then everything's happy ever after, kind of. But yeah, it was a good ending to the season. I mean, for the Orgalorg being the main villain of the actual season 6 here, obviously does not live up to like the Lich or something like that. But it was still a pretty good villain for season 6. I thought it was pretty good overall. It was fine. But yeah, we'll move on to number 4. For number 4, we have Orgalorg. Speaking of the Orgalorg, this is the episode talking about it. This is basically when Gunther starts to kind of starts to make the transition of becoming the Orgalorg, which would then be the main villain of season 6. And, his brain is sticking out, his green brain, and Ice King tries to push it back in. Some of his stuffing is peeking out, I think he said, or something like that. But we basically get this, one of my favorite scenes in this episode is we basically get to see that, like, Gunther was around for so long, because the Orgalorg was around for so long, and he got to see all these different generations and different eras, and that was super duper cool to see, because, the Orgalorg has been around for so long, and all this, and this also explains Hunson Abadir's comment about Gunther being one of the most scariest creatures he's ever encountered in, like, season 2 or something like that. Maybe even season 2. Hunson Abadir was going to try and suck his soul, Gunther's soul, but he didn't because he was like, oh man, this guy's kind of freaky, because he knew that he was the Orgalorg, and the Orgalorg now finally shows up in Season 6. So that was pretty cool that kind of came full circle, but we'll move on to episode 3 now. Alright, number 3, our final 3 here, we have number 3 as Escape from the Citadel, which was the Citadel episode, you know? The Lich is going to the Citadel, he's running in, and he's going to cause a bunch of problems. The Citadel is basically this giant prison for space criminals, and the Lich is going there, and he obviously causes terror and mayhem and stuff like that. Of course, the Lich stuff at this place, and then also Martin Mertens, or Finn's dad, is also here. He's also in this prison as a space criminal, and this was like the big thing for the ending of Season 5 and then the beginning of Season 6 when the trailer came out. Who's Finn's dad? Who is it? Who's the real, biological father of Finn? And we finally get to learn him today, and he's just a jerk, honestly. He's horrible. But, anyways, this is when also the grass sword ends up coming out, and Finn loses his arm for a little while. I don't remember which episode he gets it back in this season, or if he does it all. I don't remember. I know there was the Breezy episode. I don't think that was Season 6, though. Maybe it was. I don't know, but either way, Finn gets his arm back somehow, but he also loses it because his grass arm was trying to hold on to the ship that Finn's dad was escaping, and then he was also trying to hold on to the actual planet itself, and it tore off his arm. So yeah, Escape from the Citadel is number 3. It was a really, really good episode to come after, I believe, the episode Wake Up. So we'll move on to episode 2. For number 2 and number 1, it was really tough for me to decide, because I didn't know if I should go with, what the audience would say is number 1, or if my personal opinion of number 1. So I went with my personal opinion, so that means number 2 is going to be the food chain, whatever it is. Yeah, this episode was it was really, really good. I mean, that ending song was incredible, but it's interesting because originally I actually didn't like this episode. I was not a crazy fan when I first watched it when it first came out, but after watching it a couple times when I was a little bit older, I was actually able to appreciate it a lot, and I really love the animation style here. Going through all the different stages of the Circle of Life and the food chain was super duper cool to see, and like I said, that song, that musical number that they did at the end with Finn, and I think Princess Bubblegum was also doing some vocals for that as well, it was amazing. And yeah, the episode was just really, really good, and it was different. It felt very different, and it felt like it didn't even feel like the animation style made it completely different. Didn't feel like it was Adventure Time, but it was an Adventure Time episode about the food chain, and it was really cool. It was informational. It was fun. It was a lot of fun watching this episode. But we'll move on to episode 1, to number 1 on the list here. All right, number 1. This is it. We have Thanks for the Crab Apples, Giuseppe. Oh man, this episode, so good. My personal favorite of the season. When I went back through looking at the episodes for Season 6, and I saw this one, I was like, yes, finally! I get to rank this one and see where it's at. Thanks to the Crab Apples, Giuseppe. It's just incredible. I mean, all the wizards going on in the bus, and that great moment with Ice King saying Giuseppe needs to throw the crab apples, and then he just starts driving away, and then they leave Giuseppe behind. And then, and Ice King being like, "We need to push the bus." Oh my god, it was so good. That impression was terrible. I'm just so happy right now because of I'm thinking about the episode. Thanks to the crab apples, Giuseppe, and Giuseppe as a character, absolutely incredible. His poetry is beautiful. So sad. And all the wizards in there were great. And then the ending was great too. And the water nymphs just left, and then Giuseppe saved him. But then he also kind of died, and now this group of wizards kind of has their own little group together celebrating Giuseppe, because Giuseppe's just incredible. I love Giuseppe so much. But yeah, again, number 1 is definitely Thanks to the Crab Apples, Giuseppe, no question. Alright, so that was my top 15 list for Season 6 of Adventure Time. If you enjoyed that video, do the common YouTube stuff, comment, subscribe. I will see you guys on the next one in the future. And also make sure to tell me your thoughts on Season 6. What you would rank some of these episodes, and how do you feel about Thanks to the Crab Apples, Giuseppe? But either way, I will see you guys when I post the next video in the future. See ya!